Greetings fellow ukuleleans, Jeff Weinberger coming at you here with a new ukulele tutorial, part 2 of our We Three Kings of Orientar tutorial. This is level 2. We started with level 1, which was a basic strumming version of the song, good to accompany singing, or an instrumentalist playing the melody, but let's try to talk a little bit about melody and incorporate the melody into our arrangement. The third and final tutorial on this song will actually not only include a little bit of chord melody, but it'll have some fingerstyle techniques too. But this one, this kind of intermediate level tutorial, is going to talk a tiny little bit about up the neck chords and how to find the melody of a song. So first of all, let's establish what is the melody. We're in A minor, although there's lots of other possibilities, and this song sounds good in lots of keys, but A minor is the one that I found most conducive to what we're trying to achieve here today. So let's dig right in. We're starting on our A string. Generally, when you do chord melody stuff on ukulele, the A string is where you're going to find the majority of the melody notes. It's the highest pitch string, and it happens to really stand out above the pitches of the other strings. And that's what you want. You want the melody to ride on top. You don't want it to get buried by the other notes of the chord or any kind of little bass lines you're doing or other musical parts. The melody should be prominent. That's what most people relate to when you ask a person who's not a musician what they like about music or what they like about a particular song. Oftentimes they'll say it's the words, it's the melody, it's the singer, it's the person up front. That's what really catches their attention and their imagination. And I guess second to that would probably be rhythm. Catchy rhythms do have a universal appeal all around the world and throughout the different eras of human history. So the main thing is that we need to bring that melody out. That's what people want to hear. So if we're going to give the people what they want, we're going to find those melody notes here on the 7th fret of your A string, the 5th fret of your A string, the 3rd fret of your A string. All those are notes used in this song. From there, and by the way, you can use any fingers you want, but I like to use my pinky, my second finger, and my first finger. That's the kind of training I had on guitar many years ago. Position playing, they call that on the guitar. And that's a perfectly good way to do it on ukulele too. Pinky, second finger, first finger. 7th fret, 5th fret, 3rd fret. So if you establish that as your fingering, that's going to make it pretty easy. But, you know, if you wanted to use other techniques, that's fine, as long as you don't use the one finger technique. If at all possible, try to avoid one fingering it, taking your first finger and playing every note like this. I mean, you could possibly manage to get something like that out, or if, you know, you had some kind of disability where you couldn't use other fingers, but your first finger was the only one you had, great, well, go for what you got. But in general, that would be kind of making it a little bit harder. It would actually be physically harder for most people to manage with one finger. So that's why I use this technique of 3 fingers to play that. The next note is going to be an open string. That's easy. Okay, what do we have after that? We got 2nd, 3rd, and open again. This was all on the A string. There are other possibilities. You could find some of these lower notes on your E string. That's totally up to you. That leaves you in the 5th position, around where the 5th fret is. And that's a perfectly good way to do it. If you can manage to do that and chords at the same time, that's great. The reason I do it on the A string is so that I have 3 other strings available to finger my chords and get full sounding 3-note chords below the melody. So it's kind of a strategy to put the melody on the A string. But there are other right answers. Many ways to do this. As you will see, there's lots of people doing it lots of different ways. I'm just giving you my little insights and the way that I think about it, and hopefully this will help you. So we've got that first part taken care of. The first half of the verse. Second half of the verse simply repeats that melody with different lyrics. So we three kings of Orientar, bearing gifts we travel afar. That takes care of that much of it. And then the next bit, where they talk about moors and mountains, fields and fountains and all that. I'm going to be getting into that right now. So that also I did entirely on the A string, but again, there are other possibilities. Let's check out what those notes are. Fields and fountains, we have the note C at the 3rd fret on our A string. Then we have D on the 5th fret. We creep up to E on the 7th fret. You could use my fingering of 1, 2, 4, but there is another reasonable alternative that I want to suggest, and that's using your 3rd finger twice. Your 1st finger, your 3rd finger, and then use your 3rd finger again for that 7th fret note, that E note. That's perfectly okay. There's yet a 3rd way. I don't want to give you too many options or that would get confusing, but there is this method that Andre Segovia, the great early 20th century classical guitarist, used in his fingerings, especially his scale fingerings and single note line fingerings, and that is called a position shift. That's where you're in a particular position, but then you shift to a different position to get the rest of the notes that might be higher or lower than the position you're in. So here I'm in 3rd position, 3rd fret. But now I'm going to creep up with my 1st finger, a la Segovia, and I'm at the 7th fret with my 1st finger. That allows me to access all the rest of the notes in that position. This is the 7th fret, the 10th fret, the 9th fret, and sorry, the 8th fret, and then the 7th fret again. So again, so that's kind of cool where you're in one position, but then you do a Segovia shift up to the 7th position to finish it off. So these kind of fingering decisions, you might wonder that sometimes. You might have some ukulele books at home and you look through them and you wonder, why did the author or the editors decide to say to use your 4th finger for that note or your 2nd finger for that note? And a lot of thought goes into this, and you should put a lot of thought into your fingerings. Don't just use any old finger. Don't always go with what's instinctual. That's not always right. If you think about it, there's more than one way to do these things, and so you want to find the best way. You want to find the way that facilitates what you're trying to do. In this case, we're trying to make a chord melody arrangement of We Three Kings of Orient Are, and we got to make some smart decisions to make it sound good. All right, so let's go over what we have so far. And we'll take it from there.